All right. Evan Marsh, thank you
sir.
so much for coming in to be on Going Again podcast.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I think you're number 51,
51.
right? But you're the first one in our new space.
It's a wicked setup. I like it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. We're excited about it. But, I think you might be a bit of a test subject. We're doing audio, lighting, all this
I
stuff.
usually am. So
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Ask any of my ex-girlfriends.
yeah. They're like, all right, now we can move on.
This podcast is going to be funny.
Been tested. All right, we got rum and cokes. We're ready to go. So, you didn't have too far a drive today.
Nope.
Most of our guests are straight out of Toronto.
Mm.
Now, I'm not going to tell everybody where you're from, but you and I grew up in the same little town.
Yes, we did. We did.
Woodstock. Oh my God.
Woodstock.
When did you start auditioning and becoming an actor?
I started auditioning fairly young, but I didn't stick with it very long. I had a friend of the family who got Kevin Zegers into acting, like from Air Bud. He grew up in
son of a
Woodstock.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she sort of saw something in me doing theater and stuff and said to my parents, why don't we try it out? Why don't I can drive him to and from the auditions. And that was the first time what I was seeing on TV felt possible, because otherwise it just feels like it's in some imaginary
It's a
land.
disconnection.
And I did that for maybe a year and booked some cool things. I was in Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium with Dustin Hoffman, and this Sum 41 music video that I still get laughed at about this day. My hair's like down to here, bright red. But I kind of had this highfalutin thought that I didn't want to be a child actor, which I don't know how I feel about that thought now. I stand by it, but I've come to learn that all the success you have young really propels you when you get to be in your 20s and stuff, as far as getting auditions.
Right.
But I didn't want, in my mind then, I didn't want to be some, Disney thing and then you're kind of gone. I wanted to take it seriously, so I went to college for it and really feel like I started my career around 2014, 2015.
Now, did you study acting?
I did.
You did.
Acting for film and television at Humber College in Etobicoke, Toronto area, and it was the best 2 years of my life.
Now, when you look back though on this thought of being like a child actor, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that same idea, and to be honest with you, there's a part of me that's a bit thankful that I never hit some audition when I was young, which I came really close. But is it different between Canada and America? Why is it that child actors get
Kind of
so
washed away.
Yeah, what is that?
I would attribute a lot of it to finding success too early. So you get this misconception of how easy it is and why is this not working? Or you I know a lot of I have friends that were very successful at a young age, and not to name any, but I can tell sometimes how they approach an audition. It's very like just, eh. And I'm like, but going to school for it and grinding at a later age, I think builds a bit more, either a passion or you learn quickly if it's not for you and you just approach it differently. But that being said, especially in Canada, the casting directors really have a handful of people they love, and whether the description is a jock in the school or a nerd in the school, they still seem to bring them in.
Totally.
So that's the one part of, if you did find success young, you get a little more opportunities. But
Have you ever thought maybe it's the case that the kid, when he's little, shows a great deal of talent and whatever, and then as he grows older, he actually grows into that talent, and the talent doesn't grow.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's true. Some kids are like that Dakota Fanning thing, where she was like an insane child actor, so good at what she does and does something that most children don't.
But by the time you get to a certain age, you're just
another great actor.
I think it's easier to stand out at a younger age if you have talent.
For sure.
Whereas if you get to be, say, north of 25 or 30, you assume anyone left in the game, it's serious now. They're going to have a certain amount of talent. They're taking it seriously. If you're 8 years old and come in and are just great, there's a far better chance you're going to get the role, I think.
Oh yeah, and then some of them when they're kids, they they got a cute look to them and all that stuff, but then they grow older and it turns out this is a pretty nasty person.
The kid from Sixth Sense. Haley Joel Osment. Correct, and fine looking guy now, but he was like that perfect poster child as a kid.
Well, he's gained a lot of weight, and he's a very different
character.
Person.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's still useful in movies, and he has a ton of experience, but yeah, he looks very different. He's not as cute as he once was.
Depending on who you ask.
That's my opinion, yeah.
Right.
It's only my opinion.
He was Forrest Gump's kid.
What's that? Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's been everyone's kid.
Time really boogies down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So when you study acting in school, and it's just strictly TV and movies.
Yeah, it's on camera focused. And I grew up doing theater, so I think it was nice to be able to kind of bottle it and hone it and bring it in. But I do think this is what one of my favorite teachers, John Bourgeois, said. He said what he notices is people, maybe specifically to the camera side of it, are too afraid to try anything. They think less is more, which is true to a point, but you still have to make the decisions and the choices, and then you can bring that down. Whereas, and that's something that I learned there, was go ahead and be big with it. We did exercises where it's like one time do the whole time that you're laughing through the scene, and it feels weird. It's hard to you have to break down some insecurities of doing certain things and be willing to look stupid. But then you find that wow, those 2 sentences I did when I was really laughing really worked. And you find that, and then you do another one where you're super angry, and it's just interesting. It sort of breaks down these. I also did this movement class with my teacher, Viv, and we would have to do some really ridiculous things, like pretend you're a shovel, but you couldn't just act out being a shovel. It had to be like an abstract version. And for the first 6 months, you just feel ridiculous. But then you kind of you get this fuck it mentality, and you commit to it. And I attribute that a lot to being able to go all in and being present in a scene, because if it doesn't work, we'll just try it again,
Yeah.
I love Take Two.
Yeah, it's my favorite one.
So okay, so you learned something in school. A lot of people nowadays say that film school is best for networking. Otherwise, being on set is sort of your best class, best education.
I can agree with a lot of that. I think, to my surprise, the credit or to have acting college on your resume didn't do anything for me in the career.
Okay.
I thought that would be, my agents would always be like, you got to be taking classes. That looks good. And I'm like, what do you mean taking classes? I just spent 2 years doing this 8 hours a day. But it didn't propel me in that way. But I think that because it's such a passion of mine, I was really like a sponge in every class. So even when another student finishes their scene and the teacher's talking with them on the side and we're all just chit-chatting waiting for them to go again, I'm trying to hear that advice because I just wanted to learn as much as I could when I was in there. So yeah, I think I'm 1,000 times better of an actor from walking in to walking out.
Okay, interesting. And then but did you do courses and stuff afterwards?
Yeah, I've done some scene analysis or audition classes, and the one thing I think, we had one in Humber, but I think it needs to be 50%, if not more, focused on auditioning, because we can break down a script all you want and be doing these really heavy scenes, and I'm like, it might be 10 years before any of us get a chance to play this kind of scene.
You never get the job.
Yeah, the auditions first and foremost. It's like taking a farming thing and learning how to sell it before learning how to grow it. Like there's a first thing that has to happen, and I don't think there was. Maybe it's changed. It's been a while since I was there, but I think auditioning is the first thing an actor needs to learn how to do, especially today with having to do self-tapes.
Speaking of self-tapes, I'm slightly older than you guys, and I started years and years and years ago, and I'd go into auditions and auditions and auditions. you would learn your stuff. I'd always want to be off book. You go in and you have maybe one opportunity, maybe two, to impress whoever's listening, videotaping you, blah, 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 with a reader. And today, the self-tapes, you could tape yourself for 6 hours.
Yep. You can use all the ideas of your roommates that had great ideas, and they love your ideas. Meanwhile, they're not going to be with you on set.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
bittersweet. I can name a lot of things I love about self-taping. I like that.
You can see
You
a
don't have
cast
to wear
on
your
that.
pants. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. same with the Zoom ones. I like that I'm not forced to be downtown Toronto or downtown LA because you might be in the next morning for a thing.
Yes.
That's nice. I like.
But that hustly bustly thing
It's part of it.
is kind of what
I agree.
brings the actor to the surface.
I think the walking in a real audition room brings nerves you can't mimic, nerves you're going to have on the day, and I take a lot of pride in that brings me to another level. It's sort of like a game 7 for an athlete. It's just something else, and who falls and who steps up to the plate. And selfishly, I think a lot of people also don't step up to the plate, so that helps in my favor as well.
Now, in an audition room, in the event that the director is actually there,
Yeah.
it gives an opportunity for him to explore the choices that you've made and perhaps bend it
Yep.
to what he needs.
Sure.
And you can't get that on a self-tape.
100%.
You might be able to send 2 versions of something that's requested, but it's not real.
And it's not even about him necessarily molding it to what will be right on the day. He might just, I'm all for throw a 180 at me now.
100%.
Let me show you that I can take direction, which is what we're going to do on the day.
That's what
and
I
I
mean.
haven't locked this in for 3 days in my living room, and this is the only way I can do it.
100%.
Yeah. And another pro to self-tapes is if I'm just walking in and it's just 2 casting directors sitting there, they're essentially the middleman. They're self-taping me now at a location. I want to talk to the writers or producers or director. Otherwise, I'd rather just self-tape it. Like, unless they have some really good direction
True.
that they could include in the email.
True enough.
So then I can do it my way and somehow maybe even like not change the lines, but just change the vibe than how you could on the day. But if it's a director there, a writer there, producers there, I always would rather be in person.
Right. So do you have any advice for a young actor who gets a 2-page, 2 sides, and it's like 7 lines and there's no context before that scene or after that scene? You just make your choice based on...
Yeah, I think in that situation, I mean, goodness, as much as it's been self-taping now for half my career, I don't miss... I wouldn't want to be doing the very early days self-taping where you're going in for the 2-line role, because how are you even doing that on a self-tape? Are you sending a 30-second self-tape?
Honestly, they're fucking so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at, though, is you don't get context for the scene that you've gotten.
Sure.
Like
No script attached or anything.
You're playing Robert,
Yep.
but you're unaware that Robert's a serial killer. Just
Well, you'd hope they'd include a serial killer, but I guess my advice would be to not try. Don't overly try to stand out. You know, you can't be like, it's only 4 lines. I got to do something big here so they remember me, because odds are that's not what's called for. So my advice on a smaller scene, certainly how I approached it, was just play it truthfully. You know, make some decisions, or you can have something else. Maybe there's a secret going on, but not something that's... I've heard advice of like, you got to stand out in the first 10 seconds because they might just skip the tape. And that's fair. But I think there's just as big of a risk of trying something and it just being like, this guy's just the bus driver. Like, why are you doing a big thing? You know?
But it also comes down to a look.
A lot of it.
You know, if you're going to pass on first 10 seconds, it's because they have a
Sure.
concept in their brain that you're not.
You'd hope they would be able to adjust from a headshot. That's the point of why we spend so much money on headshots, so they don't just bring in the most wrong-looking person for it.
Right.
But like look is everything. I've never booked a role where I had to play the younger version of someone, because I got red hair, I've got a bit of a unique look. So if Alec Baldwin needs a son, it's just, I can feel like I can do a good job, but it's always, oh, this guy's got blue eyes and brown hair. Let's cast him. So, and that's part of the game.
Andrew was up for a role once. He came right down to the end, and he's the guy. He's the choice. Except that the lead star of the show was cast, and Andrew's much taller.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you couldn't play this guy's son.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was just a kid, but he was still taller than the actor. It was kind of...
Now, don't you think, like self-taping for casting directors?
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing, because you don't have to be like, oh my God, I got to hear this guy for the next 2 minutes before we call next. Now they can just hit stop on your video, scrap it if they don't like you. It takes 4 seconds, right? So they can have any old asswad, any face. They can have 100 faces, way more than what they would probably bring in the room.
For sure.
Why bring in these 4 annoying people that are annoying every time?
Well, they can bring in 40 self-tapes. And next after 10 seconds, if they brought in 40 people, they got to,
their
that's going to
job's
be 2
done
days.
in a half hour.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it. It's just hard. I try my hardest to ignore the thought that there's a chance they might not watch this, because then it might not be able to give it my all or something.
Well, the thing is it's not pessimistic when you get into traffic to acknowledge that you're in traffic, right? It just is what it is. You're in traffic.
Yep.
And I think that nowadays, I mean, it's quite evident with a lot, although there's good stuff out there, it's a lot, there's a lot less of it, or it seems like there's a lot less of it. And a lot of it, I think, it goes to small details like this.
Yeah.
Small details like this, where like that time and effort that you put into things, especially with like an actor getting up in the morning and having to run somewhere and tell their other half, sorry, baby, I'm going to miss lunch today.
Yep.
Because I got this thing. And then they feel that stress and that
have to
pressure.
book off work if they're working, right? Like all that stuff.
True enough.
Yeah, nowadays, self-tape, you're like, no worries, babe.
Yeah.
I'll do that between 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Exactly. Or whatever.
There's as many pros as there are cons. I would just, if I had to choose, I would be in the room.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think a lot of people wouldn't. A surprisingly large amount of people wouldn't opt.
Which is an interesting thought, because an actor should be a people person. Like I want the energy of being here with you.
Right.
Well, people
That's
like
why
comfort.
we did a podcast with Harland Williams on Zoom.
Yep.
And although we loved him for doing it, originally he was supposed to come and do it over the table. And there's a big difference of energy that,
Big time.
He's
Big
such
time.
I didn't
outgoing, goofy guy, and that happens in person a lot more than on a screen.
100%.
100%.
So if you're going to cast somebody, have them come in the room. You can see the energy. You can see how they're reacting to you physically.
Well, that's what happened when Evan came in here. We didn't get started right away.
No, I said,
We
"Oh
didn't
my
just
God,
hit
he's
play."
here."
Yeah, you said, "Oh my God, what the fuck? This is the guy we brought."
This is who we got.
Yeah, well, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, surprise, Randy.
Yeah, yeah, it was a crazy morning.
I thought you said Kevin Dillon.
I said Kevin Zegers.
Yeah, where's he?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I got an actor coming from Woodstock. I got excited.
Speaking of Kevin Zegers, I was Kevin Zegers 2.0 at St. Mary's. When I went to St. Mary's with him, I got picked on. People would call me the Kevin Zegers wannabe, and my locker just happened to be right next to us.
So is it because you were
'Cause he's an
in
actor.
acting?
Yeah. I didn't have earbuds, so
Right. Just earbuds. No,
earbuds,
probably not.
Yeah, not even that. Oh my God. I saw him years and years later in L.A. I think I was telling you this before, but I saw him in L.A. I was getting a tattoo done, and I was waiting in the lobby, and he walked in with Kelly Osbourne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I reminded him, of course, who I am and all this stuff, and it was a cool moment to talk about Woodstock for 4 seconds.
Sure.
In Hollywood. But yeah, whatever. That fucking guy.
That's hilarious.
I've never met him. I've not met him. I mean, he seems nice enough.
Yeah, he's a nice enough guy.
Sure.
He used to party with a buddy of mine's older brother, so I saw him at the house and this and that once in a while.
Right.
Yeah, I never got into chatting with him or anything, but
Well, thank God he's not here. Evan is.
Yes. Well, that's the truth.
What would I'm interested what your if you could choose to be back in room or self-tape for the convenience, what would your choice be?
I mean, personally, I would go back in the room as well. I think at first when all this COVID stuff happened and the whole thing started happening, the self taping stuff, I think at first you're like, wow, that's sweet, because no traffic, no Toronto visit, whatever. Not even no headshots anymore. What the fuck? That's so rare. These things at first sound amazing, but after a while, you're just like, yeah, but I'm doing what every other actor's doing. What is the point? Because of the lack of pressure, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but there's a fear in me that if I have to be at home self-taping 100 times to get the one I like, then what the hell am I going to do when I'm on set and we only have 2 takes to do?
Sure.
What the fuck is that? So I imagine that there are 100 other actors thinking the same thing. So personally, I'd rather go to the room, be able to ask the questions I want to ask, get comments perhaps, or just told, please leave. This was not right.
Even if I think there's a better chance too, if you go in, you ask your questions and you're not right for the role, there's a better chance of them remembering you for something else than a file on a computer.
I agree 100%. There's a handshake involved, perhaps.
Yep.
But going to a physical audition in the room, that's being a part of the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That was a part of the game.
Part of the game,
You
exactly.
were in it. You were a player. You got to go down to Toronto or Montreal or wherever you had to go, do the audition, meet a casting director, blah, blah, blah. You're in the game, and now you're just home. You're just home like everybody else.
Yeah.
With a video camera or an iPhone.
Yeah, 100%. And it feels more like you accomplished something that day. There was a part of, like, that was a scheduled hour and a half. I drove there, I did that, I went in, got nervous. Well, I flubbed that one line, but I got through it. There was something. I don't feel or remember any self-tape I've done, maybe 2.
But see, what's interesting is that when you flub a line, how do you react to that?
Right. Exactly.
How do you overcome this, and how do you come back? You can't show that on a tape. Well, you can on a self-tape.
But also, do we want to work with this guy? On a self-tape, you don't get personality at all. Totally. And I would love, I'd like to go in the room, because I do believe that in the past, some of those in-room auditions that I actually scored, a lot of the time I'm like, yeah, but that's because I made that stupid joke.
Sure.
That's because I did that.
I think self-tapes have made me realize more than I had how much I was getting the role on doing everything
On the basis of being you.
outside of action and cut.
Yes, exactly.
The walk in, the conversation.
Yep.
And that's hard when you have that going for you. People that don't have that going for them benefit more from self-tapes. Like I was listening to Inside the Envelope podcast with Paul Bettany, and he talked about exactly that. He says, it's a job the second I walk in, because I'm trying to make them go, maybe the lead they hire is going to be a total pain in the ass. This guy's late again. But this guy's going to be great to work with. This is a guy I want to be on set for 14, 15 hours a day hanging out with. Oh, he happens to be really talented too, but that is something that I think gives me an edge. And if I'm losing that, that's tough.
Totally
That's what people think of me when I go in the room.
The pain in the ass part? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. We got this guy. Damn it.
Oh, that's very good.
That makes sense.
So how long have you been out of school now?
I think like 2014 was graduated. I'm not sure about that. I'm really bad with years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not into time.
Me too.
I'll tell you something happened 2 weeks ago. My wife was like, that was 3 years ago.
Right, exactly. I've never had, I'm 11. That was grade 6. I'm like, I don't know what grade I was in when I was that age.
Yeah, I don't do years.
Which is really good for the film industry, because you go to work, you don't care how long you're there.
Yeah.
Somebody says, okay, it's a wrap, 17 hours. Oh, wow.
Well, that's true.
Lunches at 9 p.m. Like,
That's true. Time isn't a thing of the film industry.
no,
people.
it's not.
So, okay.
Are you working on anything right now, currently?
I'm not currently on set. I do have one thing I'm getting really close to, and I'm excited about Wingman coming out soon.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
buddy.
wow.
Can't wait.
Very excited for that.
Speaking of Wingman,
Yeah.
that's the movie the three of us met on.
Yes,
Wait, you
that's
guys were on that?
What?
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
one day.
I remember that one.
You know what's is interesting is because you were on Stanley Dynamic.
Correct.
He was the stunt coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
And
hilarious.
you did American Gothic.
Yep.
I was the stunt coordinator.
Ah, there you go. It was meant to be.
That's right.
Meant to be.
We were crossing paths, man.
Yeah. I guess we got to write and do our own movie with lots of stunts.
Absolutely, and we'll invite Harlan down
Yeah.
I saw you do your own stunt.
to watch it.
Sure. I see. Yeah.
You did your own stunt in Z Suite, falling into those balls.
Yes, I did. Was that considered a stunt? I got to call my agent.
Yeah. Was there a stunt coordinator on that show?
There was? Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we had any, I had any stunts or stunt days, so I don't know
Yeah,
if
I imagine there's like 1, 2 out of there.
Oh yeah, there was
Crazy heavy.
a weird dance that again, it was never the days that I was on. I was usually in the office.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not a whole lot of stunts going on. In the office.
No, just the ball pit.
Yeah.
And just speaking of disembodied voices that come across the podcast,
there's
this
Blair.
is Blair Johannes
They know.
over there directing, and
They know.
just for your knowledge, he's my nephew and an incredible stuntman and stunt coordinator.
Just runs in the family, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been running through.
That's cool.
So Wingman,
Yeah.
there's a premiere in Toronto coming up in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Will you be going
I will be there.
the Friday evening?
I think I don't know if we're supposed to give the date. I don't know when this is coming out, but the 9th or 8th or 9th.
I think it's
The 9th. I think the 9th.
I think it's the 9th of May.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
2025 for anyone listening and wanting to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was on a phone call with Harlan a couple days ago, and he was saying, he's like, I'm excited. I'm nervous. He said he's never shown it. He's never watched it in front of anyone yet, which is kind of surprising because in the modern day, they would have so many test screenings, so many changes, so many studio meetings where they go, we got to lose this and that. And so this is just because it's so his baby. I'm super excited, and I hope he's happy with it, because
Harland is the man.
he's
Now,
awesome.
has he told you he's happy with it?
Yes.
He's
Oh,
told
yeah.
me he is.
He's thrilled with it. As far as, I assume if he hated it, he wouldn't tell me that, but it seems very genuine
Yeah.
that he's very happy with it. He's happy with who he casted and the way it turned out. And there was a whole bump in the road with the editing process, and he sort of just kind of took over, which is not
It's certainly been a minute.
responsibility. It has.
Yeah.
So now, what was the bump, if you can say? What's going on?
I don't know if I can say.
Well, I know he told me that it took a while to get through, and he did his own cut kind of a thing.
I think it was very much an own cut thing. He wasn't overly happy with a direction or two that was going on, and having been there on the day, not only in the scenes but directing it, he knew that there was no, we did this whole thing. We can't lose that whole thing because he sees the movie. Like, you could tell the way he was directing it.
That's how it should be.
It's a 10-second hospital room scene. No, we don't need this spanning coverage. It's a comedy. I'm just going to cut to this, cut to that. The scene's done. And that's important when you're shooting on such a quick schedule that he can see it so clearly. So I can understand then when he's watching the rough edit, he's going, what the hell is this?
Yeah, we've had this conversation on set.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think overall, it took a minute, but I think he's really quite happy with the final product. I've seen a smidge of it doing ADR, but not enough to, like, aside from...
Sure.
So you haven't seen much.
I haven't seen a whole lot. It looks really good, like really good, but I can't speak to the scenes or the characters or anything like that because just you know how ADR works.
Or
It's
the
just
beautiful
snippets.
drama that it is.
Yes, yeah. There's about one funny part.
Yeah, it's that moment.
Well, Betty.
I think it'll be really, really funny because not only is it sort of Harlan's voice and his baby, and I know the way he directs it is how he sees it, and that's what I find funny. But I believe in my heart of hearts that the world, there's sort of a renaissance of comedy coming back.
Please.
I know. I couldn't agree more. And this was the first conversation I had with Harlan in the hotel when we met. I was saying I grew up on these kind of comedies. I grew up on your Ace Venturas, your Billy Madisons. Like they're what I know. So I was just telling him that, like, not so much in a way of like, thanks so much for bringing me into this, but more in a way of like, thank you for writing and pushing this through. Not worrying about a studio being like, that's too risque, we can't do that, cut that. Like, he just knows what's funny. Yeah, he's not going to apologize for it, because, and that's what it needs to get back to.
Absolutely. The fun part is I'm sitting on set and Harlan's going off, somebody else is going off, and you just wonder which one of these is going to make it.
Yeah, that's the funnest part of doing a comedy, is when you get a bit of room to play.
Yeah.
And
they sure did.
And you know why it's so fun and appealing? Because if you just think about the bloopers at the, like, during the credits, how much the whole audience, everyone loves that, because it just shows the fun of it. Even if the final scene was a lot quicker, maybe only had one jab, there's something about bloopers or deleted scenes and stuff. Like, that's the biggest thing I miss about DVDs. I lived with the special features and all that. Like, that was as important to me as the movie. Mm-hmm. And my dad owned a record store growing up, still does. But
Record Works.
Shout out Record Works in Woodstock.
Yeah, I know the store.
Yeah. But so I could always just grab a DVD, grab Bruce Almighty or grab something about Mary and go and just watch the special features 10 times over. Watch the director talk about 100%. That's why I think I felt a little more comfortable on set than I expected on my first couple things, because I was like, I know this world. Like, this is what I want to be. This is where I thrive.
Totally, man. Yeah. It's so...
What number are you on the call sheet?
On Wingman?
Yeah.
Probably 2.
Who was 1?
Harland.
Aw.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Bugger stealing number 1.
Doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
I know, I'm teasing.
I think it's one of those we have on the show I just that just came out. It's like the lead is this person, very clearly if you read the script, but the biggest name is this person, and they always seem to be number 1. But I don't think anyone would disagree. Like, I know Harlan wouldn't, that my character in Wingman it sort of revolves around him.
Of course.
Yeah.
The movie
the
is
whole
about...
sort of point.
But put it this way, if there was a sequel, it wouldn't be around me. It would still be Turk. It would still be Harlan's character.
Turk's the wingman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to ask?
I don't know, but I want to see this movie really bad.
Yeah, too. Harland is I mean, what's interesting about him is when he got the coordinator job on that movie, I was pretty stoked, because as a kid, I really did love Harland Williams.
For sure.
Me and my little sister were obsessed with his movie Rocket Man. We watched it like on repeat. I don't know if I cared that it was Harland. I cared that this guy was so kooky. It was insane.
Sure.
What I absolutely love right now is that he's kind of, it's like he sort of surfed away from Hollywood a little bit, and he's kind of come back. So I feel like Wingman, I could be wrong, but I feel like Wingman's in like the best place ever.
Sure.
Because Harlan's done all the big podcasts, but he also has his own incredibly stupid, funny podcast.
Yeah.
And he's been doing all the Kill Tonys and all that stuff.
He's thriving from the Kill Tonys.
He's killing it, man.
Joe Rogan talked about him, and he just talked about him in such a light that I knew of Harlan well, but I think having worked with him and then dove deeper into his career, especially, like you said, it's kind of doing like one of these, I'm kind of like really amazed by how just, how many circles he's in, how many people he knows, and how well regarded he is from these people. It's really like,
I think it's his loyalty to comedy.
Sure. I think it's his.
A specific kind.
I was literally in a car ride with my dad yesterday, and saying how Harlan is one of the most genuine people I've ever met. Like it's not fake, it's not put on. I don't know if it's the Canadian in him or just how he was raised or what, but it doesn't seem like anything's gone to his head. And he called me, missed it. I was golfing. Called him back. He's like, "What's up, man? In 5 minutes, I got to jump on this thing. What's going on?" And he was so friendly. And I was like, "You called me, dude." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "He's like, I guess we figured it was a butt dial." But it was the fact that it's never like, "Yeah, what do you need?" It's always he's got to be doing something 5 minutes, and he's just like, "How you doing, man? What's going on?" Like he's so nice and genuine. And they're even on such a fast-paced, hectic film shoot. He like I've seen a lot of other directors lose their shit at a lot less.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough good things about him because he kept that going. He kept a really great atmosphere, but he also, he's not about to get walked all over. He knows how to keep it serious, but then have a lot of fun along the way.
I saw him shut some stuff
Yep,
down.
exactly.
But he shuts it down in a manner that you're not offended.
Sure.
Not me, but I watched him do it with others. But absolutely.
Yeah, that must have been fun, man, working alongside him.
It was super fun. And Russell Peters and Jamie Kennedy, like
Yeah.
I haven't laughed as hard at some improv as I have with Russell Peters. Because when he gets into character and just starts saying things, it's like...
When he's not in character.
When he's not in character?
No, it's the same.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's just doing his thing. I think there's certain people that... Like, Harlan never really got me because I can put it on and he's being his character. But then the way that Russell Peters just throws something out there... It's like no matter how I'm just in the scene, it's like a hiccup or something. You just like you can't like oh my, he's so funny.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, Russell Peters is the man.
Yeah, really cool.
Brilliant comedian.
He's supposed to be here.
Yeah,
I've got his mug made.
very cool.
Well, one of these days we'll see.
Well, he said when he comes to Toronto, he's going to come by. So
All right, I look forward to that day.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
And I'll be here too, right?
oh yeah,
It'll be more about me, right?
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
it's
good.
like a hey, Russell Evans coming. Do you want to come by?
He can make us more rum and coke.
Russell will be like, all right, I'll come by then.
Is that what we're drinking? Rum and Coke?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, the secret's out.
Boom,
Oops.
boom, boom.
It's in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah. Boom, boo.
So how's the
Rum.
first day at the new studio? Does it feel like a different vibe? Does it feel like how are you guys feeling about this right now? Not about me as a tape, but this studio.
We're digging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the new. I like the space.
We
I
had
kind of dig what we have going on here.
Yeah.
But, it has taken a little bit of trial and error.
Yeah, we had to make a move, and here we are. And you're the first one. That you're our 51st show.
That's a lot.
We
Congrats.
got
Nice.
incredibly busy at the end of last year and into the winter, and we had no time. So we.
Yeah, no time. The geography wasn't working. It was working, but we were doing it over at his place in his pool room. And when winter rolls around and you got nothing to do, you want that pool table and the darts and all the room back. And we were just kind of in the way. So thought it was cool to make this move.
High time to make the move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Looks great.
Now we're back at it, which is awesome. And thank you for being here.
I'm
and
happy to be
succumbing to this.
This is fun.
Potential wreck.
So you just mentioned golf. Have you been out golfing already?
Played like 3 rounds
Like
this year.
outside?
Yep.
Like on real grass and
Because,
stuff?
like similar to self-tapes, you can just do it inside now.
My dad has a sim, so
Yeah,
I
right
do it
on.
all
Oh,
winter.
that's right. He does.
I do it all winter, but I'm the only thing that even comes close to my sort of love and passion of acting is golfing. So it's
Right.
Yeah.
it's very like I want to get out there. I want to do it.
The three of us have been golfing all winter
At the Sims?
with VR.
VR.
Yeah, we've been.
You wear it?
we are.
You like that swing?
Yeah.
How is it?
Well, I'm way better.
I make every putt, so
Yeah. No,
It's a blast.
cool.
it's
just
like it's super realistic, and then it's just not. It's like both.
Just in case Meta wants to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use
yeah.
Meta 3,
There you go.
the VR glass. It's so
Oculus.
much fun. So
Yeah,
much.
it
So
is
do you
fun as hell.
all have a headset on, or do you switch?
No.
for-
No, we all have a
headsets.
headset.
Oh, cool.
We're all at home.
Well,
At separate locations?
Oh yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah,
That
we're
sounds
all
really fun.
You're
yeah,
gonna
dude,
want
it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But your real game
We'll
out
suffer.
the window.
All of a sudden, when you go out to the driving range, the clubs are heavy,
Sure.
and you dig holes.
You're like, wait a second. What? I was flushing this yesterday in my living room.
Yeah, we have a grip, a golf grip,
Yeah.
and you just put the controller in the end.
That's
You
cool.
know, and everything when you're on it, the controller moves like a club. Everything
So do
looks
you
very.
think if I came from the inside and shut it more, it would properly draw?
Yes.
It would,
Oh,
yes. It has like statistics of ball spin, and it's got all the stuff, and it looks rather realistic.
Cool.
In general, the only thing that's not is just that the physics of a real club, or
Yeah.
that the club is heavy. You know,
You can do it with your pants off.
we were on VR last year, and we were saying like, let's go actually drive some balls. I think I've corrected my drive here.
Yeah.
Well, go out to the range, and I end up I'm not even hitting the ball. I'm just digging holes.
Sure.
It's all I'm doing is digging holes, and I can't even hit the fucking ball.
Yeah, it's the oddest feeling.
It's amazing how
Because you got so used to the weight of this.
Right.
yeah.
Sure.
And you know, as if you swing toward the ground, the you don't feel the ground. You don't feel the
Right.
smack of the ground. It just slides along the ground.
So how long is the
that ball?
controller and grip?
Foot and a half.
Okay.
Foot and a half.
So there's no. You could dip down and you're still nowhere near the ground.
Right, right.
So and if you're wearing something, there's no depth perception. As much as you see something there, it's
not really
still,
there.
Yeah, the only thing you're hitting is walls, doors, and printers.
Sure.
You got to be
An
careful.
animal, a pet. Yeah.
Yeah. I've hit my dog and I've hit my printer. And I whipped my controller across the room.
That's got to be. Common.
Yeah.
That's got to be.
Exploded against the wall.
And both the dog and the printer are fine.
Yes. My hand was broken, but everything else.
That sounds really
It
fun.
is great. You'd actually have a ball.
I would.
Like, it's super fun. And if you ever get the VR, man, you know, add us up.
I was
Get us
actually my
contact.
dad had just gotten like a Meta 2 or something. I don't know what they're called, but in the store, and he was like, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "I just don't know anything about it. You need to assumingly have other people that you could play with. Like
Play
I
by
don't.
yourself.
Okay, I just hadn't known about it, but the more I kind of did some research, a little chat GPT and this and that, it was
Yeah.
I was kind of like, this is where it's going.
It's just a blast.
Sure.
It's really, and we see each other's avatars while we golf.
It must feel a lot like hanging out.
It is.
Because
It
you can
does.
say something and still have a laugh.
Exactly. It's
Yeah, it
exactly
does.
correct.
That was the biggest thing during the whole lockdown, COVID of it all, was playing video games, and you got these on. You truly feel after like 2 hours, all right, good night, that you just hung out with your friends. Like, no,
Yeah.
I didn't see them, but the same humor was going around, the same, like you're experiencing it, and that helped get through. Versus if that didn't exist, I'm not going to call maybe I would, but you're not going to have like a big group chat just because then there's still something like with the golf thing, you're still playing something.
Yeah.
So it's a reason to hang out. I just find I wouldn't have a big group
it's
call
amazing.
and then just, how are you?
To be honest,
Exactly.
Actually,
You
this is kind of brings up the idea that you could have a meeting with somebody on this friggin' thing.
Sure.
You could play around, like I swear to God, with some LA producer.
You could.
Oh man,
Good. I take mine to work.
Really?
Oh, yeah. At lunchtime, I'll go out and I hit 18 holes.
That's
he-
fantastic.
It's a blast.
he's hilarious about it. He just stands outside his vehicle and just goes at it. Never.
I'd like to try it. I'm very interested.
I don't do it in traffic.
I should have brought it over. Should have brought it here.
Yeah.
No, it's honestly, it's fantastic. You'd love it, man. It's so good, and it does feel like we're hanging out.
Yeah.
For
and,
sure.
and
The funniest part, though,
we'll tell Meta what our phone number is at the end of the.
yeah,
I hear they need a bit of money.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, they need us.
They need the help.
But it's funny because, if you set up for, whatever, a drive or even a fairway shot or something in a real golf course, your buddies aren't necessarily hanging there. They're talking about
Sure.
what they're going to order or whatever. And you're sitting there muttering to yourself, fuck, I can't fucking do whatever. You hear all of that on VR.
Yeah. Sure.
You hear your buddies just muttering all their
We're
bullshit.
across
In
the
each other's ears.
Fucking hilarious.
That's why, as much as I enjoy a walking round of golf as much as anyone else, but the thing about carts is if you're way to the right and I'm way to the left, we go to yours. I get to be a part of you hitting it. Talk about that. Are you going to get over that tree? You hit it over that tree. I'm like, good shot. It's so much more of an experience with each other with a cart.
That makes sense.
Because otherwise, you know, if I go way left, you go way right. We're just. I mean, I see you on the green.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That very much is your own golf game at that point.
Yeah. Unless you both hit it down the middle, but who does that?
So were you ever in Sault Ste. Marie before the movie?
Yeah, I filmed a movie called Giant Little Ones there. I don't know, again, terrible with years, maybe 2016.
Oh, yeah?
And stayed in the same hotel.
That was my first Sault Ste. Marie experience.
Was it?
On Wingman.
Same.
What'd you think?
It was easier to get. It's not as big as I thought it was.
It's easier
I thought
not
Sault
to
Ste.
think about it.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought Sault Ste. Marie was a massive city, and it's really not.
No.
It's spread out. Mm-hmm. And next time I go, I'm going to take my passport because I didn't realize how you just drive over that bridge and then you go shopping in the U.S. or do whatever you want to do, right? I didn't know that.
Do you agree with the experience that if you're on set, whether you could be in Atlanta, you could be wherever, but if you're truly busy, it doesn't really feel like you get to see that city. I might have filmed there for a month, but because you're 16 hours a day and you're on there, and then when you're off, you got to be learning this thing. And as much as I've been to South Africa and Atlanta and all these places to film, it's not the same as if I went there to travel.
Of course not.
So it's like same with Sault Ste. Marie. I don't know it as well as someone who may have went there for 2 months, like I have been there. If I told someone I'd been to Sault Ste. Marie for 2 months, they go, "You must know it pretty well." I'd go, "Not at all."
The only difference between Sault Ste. Marie and Atlanta or South Africa is that when you mention Sault Ste. Marie, people are very impressed.
Yes, correct.
That's the only difference.
People tend to
all
applaud
over
me,
the
actually.
world. Yeah. Wow.
Well, you stayed there for 2 months.
Good for you.
Wow, you did that.
But you're absolutely, it's absolutely true. I've been to a lot of places, and you see hotel,
Yeah.
your pickup driver's the inside of that van,
Yeah.
and a set, van, hotel.
Yeah.
You don't get to. I shot in Portugal, didn't see anything.
Sure.
And then one day I just happened to have about 6 hours off, and I walked down to the Harley Davidson store and bought a T-shirt and walked back.
Even then, right? Like it's that's all you seem to, because there is time off technically, but it's not, because you don't ever have the time to properly plan this excursion or this thing. So it's just weird. I think I want to make more of an effort going forward to try to fill up my weekends or stuff. But that's another thing, is it's unpredictable. Actually, we're doing Saturday now instead of, okay.
Well, you're also learning lines and shit. Like you're kind of always on the game.
Yeah.
I had one day off on Wingman, and I decided to go down to the airplane museum.
Ooh.
So it was just down the street from the hotel.
Yep.
It's very convenient. I went, I paid my money, and I went in, and I spent hours in there reading things and looking at the airplanes and the helicopters, and I'm having a blast.
It's cool in there.
Well, then I find out we're shooting there. So I could have just went anyway.
Yeah, because there was is it not considered a stunt with some of the wheelchair stuff that we had? Were you guys on the day that we did that?
No,
because there was a bit of a wheelchair thing that I thought, if you're calling my jumping into balls on Z Suite a stunt, this was definitely
well,
more
I
of a
didn't.
stunt
He
than
did.
That was definitely a stunt.
Right.
No, I wasn't on the day that you guys shot.
Sure.
So the
But you still could have walked in, no problem.
What is
I
it?
get you're saying.
What is it?
we did.
What
We went down. We went down and hung out.
What was the gig though? The wheelchair thing.
It's
Was there any fire involved, or?
yeah, we lit him on fire. He's no longer with us, but there's an homage to him at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I was kind of glad I wasn't there then.
No, it's Dylan Flashner's, who plays the character of Skip, has an uncle who's able to kind of give us some more information on Harland Williams' character, but he's in a wheelchair and he's a total hard ass that's kind of crazy, and he just ends up flying right by us and into a wall. But I guess we had like a dummy too, that they may have never had a human.
Okay.
I know that was more
make
like I
more
wasn't
sense.
there for that. I was there when he goes by me, but then when they shot the wall hit, I was probably just in some chair shooting the shit with someone.
Hilarious.
That's what actors do.
Yeah.
Sit in chairs.
Yeah.
Shoot the shit.
Complain.
That's cool.
Yeah, true. I got to enjoy Sault Ste. Marie a little bit.
Did you?
I mean, enjoy. That's a big word.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when I went up there, I was only up there doing stunts and stuff. I wasn't necessarily up there with lines to do between everything. So
Right.
I had some time to go check out all the steakhouses. Which, if anyone's asking, the one that I would recommend, there isn't one.
Oh.
There isn't any.
The one
There's a whole bunch of them, but
the one we shot in, I forget the name of it.
best case,
Yeah. That was
either that or the one next to the casino there. That was good too.
the
That's
casino.
pretty good.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, we went in there, had a old fashioned and a steak. I think.
The one that we I don't want to give the movie away, but
That's always hard, huh? When you're
yeah,
trying to
Harlan
explain.
and Jamie had a moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember where we were for that. That's the thing is, we just get taken somewhere, so it's not like I'm on the east north part
Right.
of.
I would have
Saint
driven
Marie.
my own truck there, but I
Sure.
still don't know where it is, and I don't remember the title. But it apparently is an incredible steakhouse.
Yeah, I was really upset that the casino got rid of their table games, their poker games,
Did they really?
from my visit in 2016,
wonder.
2017. Think about it, the whole COVID thing had happened.
You wanted to get your money back.
I'd killed it the first time, so I was like, I'm up. I might as well lose a bit of money, and it was just, just normal
Just
gambling.
poker
games.
or
No poker.
did they have blackjack and roulette?
They had digital blackjack.
Oh,
I know. Now I'm trusting a digital set of cards.
It's like playing with digital
Boring.
golf clubs. That's gotta suck.
yeah. You feel good, but
Yeah.
you're losing everything you have.
That's
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. So let's get talking about acting. What have you got any advice for young actors? Like, you're a young actor. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids. I personally believe that all U.S. Americans should have maps. Anytime I say that, that's what I think about.
Yeah.
I think that in 20 years, half the world's population will be entertaining the other half. And there's, between TikTok and YouTube and whatever, there's so much. Everybody, with the exception of someone right now listening to this that just said, not me, wants to be a movie star or an actor. It's just happened so quickly in my experience. Anyway, when I was a kid, nobody wanted to be an actor. I was the only one.
Or they didn't feel as comfortable
Or they didn't know.
saying it. Yeah.
It's not accessible,
Right.
but it's accessible today. Anybody with an iPhone can act on Saturday afternoon.
Plus, acting doesn't need to be in the episode of Friends. The same feeling can be you posted something that went viral.
That's my point.
Right.
So you have a lot. Have you got any advice for a young person that's listening right now that has an absolute 100% passion to become a part of the television and film industry as a professional actor, as opposed to
A social media star.
yeah,
I think you gotta know that it's what you absolutely love more than anything in the world, because when it gets tough, it can't feel like work. It has to feel like there's nothing else I can do. This is all, I'm all in, all my chips are in on this thing, and I didn't get that, or I didn't even hear about that one, or there's going to be a million no's for every yes, so it has to be an absolute certainty that it's what you want to do. Now, maybe that takes doing it and realizing after a year or two that this isn't for you. That's fine. But I think that my advice would be, one, just know that it's going to be hard. Embrace for that and enjoy the ride. The good times are better when there was bad times before it. But secondly, I would say that you have to. I think so many people wait for some opportunity that doesn't even really exist, get in a play. Just try to act anywhere you can. Find a like-minded person, much like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck would just do scenes in their basement. You have to be doing it, because otherwise, like, you can't wait for the phone to ring. If you're lucky enough to get in a position where, say where I am, where between my Canadian and LA agents, I can occasionally just get some stuff, and that feels like I'm acting in between being on set. But even then, the phone's ringing less and less these days for everyone. It's just the way it is. They're making, like it's demoralizing how much my agents I'll be like, what's going on with da-da-da? And they'll be like, they're making this many less pilots this year. They're not doing this and that. And the only real things that they are doing are these Marvel things that, like, are you really, as an emerging actor, going to get on that? Maybe. But that's why I think I don't want to separate the social media, YouTube part of it, because it's so intertwined with it today that, like, I'm really close to, once the weather gets a little warmer, starting, and it's nothing to do with acting, but it's to do with my ability to still have a presence and an entertaining voice. I really want to start making some golf content because I love watching it. I think I'd be really good on it. And I think my game's well enough along that it's not just, there's something funny about someone playing really bad too. So it's not like you have to be great, but there's little.
We laugh at each other all the time.
Right. Exactly. There's a YouTube channel called Bob Does Sports, and they do golf, and none of them are good, and it's really entertaining. So I'm branching out in that aspect of just something else. That's not so then I can get a bunch of followers and hopefully Martin Scorsese calls me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to get that, but it's to entertain the idea of still just putting myself out there and performing.
Exercising your own creativity.
Exactly, 100%. Just like you guys are with this.
Exactly.
You can call it the Gulf of Canada.
The Gulf of Canada. No. But yeah, I think that would be my advice is ultimately get into a play if you're too young to be doing auditions. Find a way to be acting. Film a YouTube skit. The same way, like, the three of us could go do a 2-minute funny thing about this, that, and the other. And just find a reason to love it until you can start finding the path to getting an agent and really the grind of the startup of it. Because it's changed so much now, like we were talking with the self-tapes and stuff, that I don't even know if I could give advice for day one in the industry people anymore, because it's nothing like it was even 6 years ago.
What's interesting about getting an agent, and that's kind of struck me, in a world of self-taping, where you're not, as I said earlier, being in the game, going to Toronto, dealing with this and shaking a hand and going to meet. When I was young, I took my 8x10 with my name on it and my resume to the casting agent's offices.
Sure.
This is me. This is what I do. Please call, blah, blah, blah. Handshake. Hi, nice to meet you. Make a joke. Impress with my physical, whatever, and then leave. And then I go down the street to the next one.
Sure.
And that's how I met the stunt coordinators, and that's how you meet everybody. Is anybody still doing that? You know what they do is they send a picture with no name on it and say, I'm available. Well, you and 17,000 other people.
Right. It's easier than ever for an agent to see 1,000 people. Before, like you're saying, if someone walked in their room,
right,
that's how they'd meet that person.
Correct.
Now there could be an email of 2,500 new people that are looking for rep.
Absolutely. But it would be incumbent on that casting director or agent to call in for an interview and a chat in the actual physical person. I don't even understand this.
The new way.
The new way. I don't get it. I understand. I got a big commercial once, and I got called and said, you have to get your picture to the producer this afternoon. And I said, well, whereabouts are they? I'll drive it to them. I'll just drive down and hand it to them. He said, well, they're in Tokyo, Randy. So I said, oh my God, how am I going to do that? Now, this is a long time ago. And the lady says, well, email.
Right.
And I went, oh yeah, I know what that is. I just got it.
Right.
I sent the picture and I got the job.
Right on.
They shot here, but it was in a Japanese commercial, right? So I get it, but I don't get it.
There's a practicality of it in a situation like that. You're not about to drive to Tokyo or fly to Tokyo, but to your point, is anyone? I think on both sides. I think as much as the younger talent and stuff have no interest in walking and sitting down, they're too nervous. The agents have no interest in meeting with you when we can just have a phone call or a Zoom.
100%.
Think about how many agents have never met face to face their talent. They agree on this, maybe at most a Zoom call, and then you're off to the races.
I've never met mine,
Right. There you go.
which is insane.
Well, but that said, your agent is fully aware of who you are, what you've done.
I know.
We know other family members, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not necessarily
yeah.
saying in my case that it is a bad thing, but that is the case.
Yeah.
I've never physically met my agent, so there is that.
Yeah.
And I would like to. I would like.
That is one thing that the biggest thing, aside from what I learned as an actor, that Humber gave me was it branched into getting an agent a lot easier. Because I've had friends or family members' kids be like, what's the first step? How do I get an agent? I don't know. It's that, like we talked about earlier, it's the chicken before the egg thing. Well, they want you to have 3 or 4 bookings, but how do you get those 3 or 4 bookings without an agent?
Yeah.
So that's where Humber had maybe 2 or 3 times a casting director or agent come in and just sort of watch that year's students do a scene. And this one casting director really saw something in me and reached out to an agent and said, you should get this guy. So I sort of skipped that whole process, which is, so that's why I don't have advice for how to do that, because I genuinely don't know.
But what's funny,
Yeah.
it was physical. You were in their
Right.
presence.
Yeah.
It
And
wasn't-
I still was for 7 years. like it's weird to me how different this industry was 10 years ago. Like a lot of industries have changed since COVID
100%.
and everything, but it's crazy. It's like a
The
different.
difference is uncanny.
On set doesn't feel that different. Like, to me at least, for me, showing up and being on set feels very similar.
the actual creation of it.
Yeah. The audition process is night and day.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the last time it felt totally different on set was
During COVID?
just film. Well, during COVID,
Sure.
sure. But when they had when they were using actual film versus digital.
The grips had time to actually walk out of the studio and have a cigarette while they're loading.
Yeah, there was like 20 minutes for the director.
When
to
was the
talk
last
with
time
us.
you worked with film?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Sure.
20 years ago.
That would feel very different.
20 years ago. Yeah. What? How the fuck old am I? Holy shit. Can't believe. Sorry.
Don't ask me. I'd say 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
I was obviously much younger, but I sort of remember all those days, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what's happening today. They gave up that 20 minutes to reload, several times throughout the day, to have less time to think. Now since everything's digital, there's barely a break in there for
100%.
for thoughts to sort of roll over.
Well, that
And-
goes over everything.
And wouldn't you think, because that's so much faster, that there'd be way more time to think and do stuff?
Yes.
But the irony is then they cut off about 2 weeks of how quickly we can get this done, and the problem is now everything just feels that much more rushed.
Yeah, quantity is easily beating quality.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, see, that goes over to the actor thing where the actor's doing everything online, everything on digital, sending it here, sending it there. There's my picture. There's my resume. They don't get to meet anybody. We talked about this before on another podcast, but I have the same thing. Here's a question: have you ever shot anything on film?
If I have, it would have been in the Like, I just would have been so new that I wouldn't have noticed a difference.
Right.
So I can't say for certain, but I think the odds are no.
It's the camera with the big thing on top.
Oh, then likely not.
What's fun is the digital age. What it created was, like, there was a time when a director would have to figure out mathematically his shooting ratio, how many feet of film is he going to shoot today, how many takes he's going to have with each scene, whatever. Because by the time you get to the end of your 30-day shoot schedule, you need film on the last day, and you may not have film for the last 3 days if you've shot it all.
Right.
And you may not.
There's no risk of keep it rolling.
100%. 100%. When it comes to the editor, and the editor is actually running this film through a Steenbecker, Moviola, whatever they're using, to edit, before they make a cut, they have to think. So I'm not going to cut my film right here and then put this here. I'm going to think about this for a day or so.
Yeah.
So they think about it, and then they make that cut. Whereas today, you sit in front of your computer and you go, I wonder if I like this.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So the thought process.
Command, undo.
100%.
Right.
So you're not really prepared and thinking.
You're not thinking.
Not
the way
everybody,
you would.
don't get me wrong, but there's some stuff.
I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's not that one is better than or took more skill than, sure, but there's certainly a different art form in the thought process when it's film, because it's so much more serious.
Well, today I can say, hey, try this.
Sure, exactly.
Try that. Do this, do that.
And during that time, there also wasn't your in between to do, which was check your phone. There's that. Nowadays, if you got 20 minutes, you're probably doing this.
100%.
You're like checking
100%.
Facebook or something, which is not really what's happening today.
Or Randy's playing 18 holes, like.
Yeah.
There's stunts happening here.
I'll be right with you.
That's the truth.
It speaks to, I was just talking to my one uncle about this. I saw an interview with Tom Hanks, and he was talking about how, though CGI is great, it's fully lost the respect from the viewer. Because if you see something crazy, like they open the door and all these alarm clocks come spilling out, they did that. And there's an amazement of, wow, like, did they have, and how many times do you think they did that? People reset
the reset.
clocks.
That's what amazes me.
Exactly. And now that everything's CGI, there's a reason half the marketing budget goes into showing that it's actually Tom Cruise doing the stunt, because we would initially all just go, they just did a green screen thing. And I think it's taking a lot of the, like, you still have great movies. You can still have the Marvel movies and cool movies that still blow you away. But there's something different about a Star Wars today than the first one, where you go, how the hell did they do that?
Easily.
Yeah. Well, they shot the original on location.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now
in on planet Gatatui or whatever. I don't know my Star Wars that well.
That'd be ridiculous. Yeah, that's hilarious. But that is true. It certainly does numb the audience.
Yeah.
To the truth of what's really going on.
Well, look at Hooper and Smoking the Bandit, those kind of shows.
Yeah.
They did great gags, and they were all shot in camera. When that car went over, that car went over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's riding on the top of a car like they're surfboards over a cliff, and then they somehow survive. Oh my God, I'm never going to see that film. But
yeah, hopefully there's some kind of sweetness to all this, because really it's going to bring us back to wanting that art form again.
One thing I think is happening with the emergence of AI and stuff is, I think more and more people have the ability to tell stories. I think the way that if someone in 1965 wanted to record a song, they had to go to a studio and it was a big deal and spend a lot of money. Now we can all do it on our laptop. I have plenty of people I know have great careers with music, and they've never worked with another person as far as making their music and their songs, and it's out there and it's on Spotify. So I don't think we're far away from, if the three of us wanted to just do like a cool episode of this. I'm not saying the actors don't still need to be real, but I think a lot of the technical part of it with the lighting and the camera and the editing and the sound stuff, I think that's becoming much more accessible, for better or worse. But I think that would be my pro side of the technology coming in, because I really do think it's going to open the door for a lot of creative people who would have had to spend 18 months of their life trying to get funding to
or never
do
get
this.
there.
Exactly. So,
but there again, it comes down to the human component, in that just despite having an iPhone and a laptop to edit on,
yep.
the person that's telling the story still had to have thought in their imagination and create a story that is compelling,
Yep.
that we're going to watch and be moved by.
Sure.
Because it's all about emotion,
Yeah.
one way or the other. And that's where, that's the filmmaking, and the cream will rise to the top.
Exactly. Just as it would with everything we've said about the self-tape process and the audition process.
Yeah.
I believe over time, if you're that guy and you got what it takes, you'll work. Maybe not as much as, like, it's crazy when I listen to Zach Braff or Bradley Cooper talk about their first years auditioning. And their arguments are, not arguments, but their complaints are like, it's hard. You got to drive. Sometimes you have 6 auditions in one day, and you got to get to there and there. And how are you supposed to remember these? And I'm like, I haven't had 6 auditions in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different. It's just different, but things are always changing, and you just got to stay ahead of the game.
And that's the job, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've always considered auditioning as acting. This is my job.
Sure.
Today's I've got work.
That's what the same teacher I mentioned, John Bourgeois, he said that. He goes, that's an opportunity to act that day.
Mm-hmm.
I love
And if
that.
that's what you love to do,
Yeah.
then you do that.
Yeah.
You have to find, I think, which would be more another bit of advice to younger actors or emerging actors, it doesn't matter your age, but is find the fun and joy in the audition process. It's not just, I got to do this till I hopefully get that job. Enjoy this part, because you're going to do it a hell of a lot more than you do that part.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, the self-taping thing kind of made me enjoy auditioning a little more.
Sure.
Sometimes it's a pain in the ass, and you're just like, I don't want to do it.
Yep. I think that the role itself depends on that.
That's true.
The role that you're so right
true.
for. Let's do this
Then
one.
you
Let's
get
really
kind of stoked. Yeah, yeah. And you don't just go into a room, do it twice, and call it a day, and you're like,
right.
all of that for this, you
Yeah,
know? And,
sure.
Instead you're actually going at it all day. You're working with your opposite, your reader, whatever, and you actually learn a lot. You sort of figure things out and you're learning more. I'm sure everyone's doing that, but you kind of going, you look back at what you're doing on film. That's also another thing. If there was advice that I could give to people that was before all the self-taping, is like, watch yourself on camera.
I agree 100%. So many people go, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Well, that's how you learn how to work with the tool you have.
You think you're giving a look that's like that, and meanwhile, you watch it back and you're like, whoa, that's not gonna land. Like,
that was
important.
a good look, though.
Thanks.
You got to use that.
I will. That'll be my next audition.
Good for homework.
I agree. I think I couldn't agree more. I think it's with the right mindset. It's either, well, you can do it 100 times till you get it right, or it's, well, you can do it 100 times till you get it right. That's the pro and con. It depends how you see it, right?
It totally. I agree.
I think it's important to, don't get this maybe as much in the going in the room days, but in the self-tape, if you have a friend who you will equally help with theirs, and they will equally help you with yours, and advice can go back and forth, and the thought of, that was good, but I think you could have been bigger at the end. Like, it's funny right now, but if you hit that last note, that makes the whole process more fun. And it can't feel like you're asking a favor from that person, but that's hard to find someone like that. Not everyone can just have a person that will.
Especially when you're from Woodstock.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've called Kevin a bunch of times and he just won't answer.
Fucking douche.
No offense, Kevin.
No, that is hilarious. Did you find it difficult at all being from Woodstock, growing up, doing this kind of stuff?
I don't think specifically being from Woodstock felt difficult.
You don't tell people, right?
That I'm from Woodstock? No, they tell me. I think what I would say is over the years I've really realized the hurdles of being Canadian in the industry, and I'm very proud to be Canadian. But
Sure.
But I don't want this podcast to be me essentially complaining about everything. But it's interesting to dive.
It's the Complainy podcast.
we can discuss how the nature of the industry is.
We're changing the title to Complain Again.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That's because I'm the guest, and that's why I'm doing this.
Yes. Yes.
No, I've just come to realize the whole, the needing your O1 visa and LA agents being like, oh, Canadian, like there's so much of that. And then if you book the American job that's filming here, it's like, but we can pay him like a Canadian. It's like there's a lot of that where
That's interesting.
I like staying ignorant too, because I don't want to get jaded to it. But that, to answer the question, it's not so much Woodstock versus Barrie versus
Right.
Scarborough. It's Canada versus LA, just because I think you're seen very differently at first until you can make a name away from it. And that's why it's important, I think, to have American rep, because then when they're submitting you, it's not with a little caveat attached of here's the Canadian talent.
Right. Well, it's similar in the stunt business in that an American show will come here.
Sure.
And they will lobby to have an American stunt coordinator be here.
Right.
And then our union demands that they have a match. So there was a Canadian stunt coordinator brought on. Most of them are relegated to being
The paper boy or or whatever that is.
they know the talent, so they'll be the ones that make the phone calls, but they do the budgets and do all the paperwork, and not have any actual, at least in my experience, say on the gags and the creation and the execution of the stunts themselves.
The design
The design portion of it.
The American?
No, the Canadian won't.
Oh,
So somehow,
something sounded backwards there.
yeah,
Okay.
somehow American stunt performers, no offense to the stunt performers that I know, don't get me wrong, are the only ones that have experience doing whatever we do. It's really silly, actually. All the big shows in Toronto have an American stunt coordinator. And
Just as they bring in their top 6 characters from the States, as far as the acting.
Yeah,
side
well,
of it.
that's true. That's true. They bring in their stunt coordinator. They also bring in their director, their major producers, 6 top casts.
yeah,
You would think that with all the leverage of Canada's affordability to film, that our unions would be pushing a little more for their talent to be front and forward. Whether it be stuntmen, whether it be this, but I have so many people in my life say, wow, they're building a new Netflix studio here, or I hear this Prime TV show is going to be shot in Canada, assuming that just means it's more work for me. Who it really benefits, I have a lot of friends who are they're camera operators, or they're this and that they want to hire those locally. But like you said, with a stunt or with the second lead, 9.9 times out of 10 they're going to bring that from the States, which is to my advice of a young emerging, if you're Canadian, as quick as you can try to get American rep, because you can start not being seen that way. And there's nothing, I love being Canadian, I'm very proud to be Canadian, but the way the industry perceives it
right.
is oftentimes a little bit where you just kind of go, feel like I don't know what that was about, like.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's really silly.
Totally agree. We've talked about this kind of thing so many times. It kind of is what it is. And unfortunately, too, some of the shows that we budget up here are pretty lackluster, to say the least.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, not everything, of course, but so, when you're trying to break into the American market, trying to showcase your work when you're on some cheesy Canadian style, low budget something, it is just difficult. It's just difficult. And I know that, by the way, that the American stunt coordinators work versus the Canadian stunt coordinators, it's a little bit different. Just a different way of doing things. And I would imagine at the same time, in terms of acting, although acting might be similar wherever you go, acting on a Canadian show of a particular budget versus acting on a Marvel movie of a very large budget, it's just a different workplace. It's going from one office to a different one.
I've worked on, Murdoch Mysteries all the way to Shazam, which was like the biggest comic book movie that year. It's not so much different on the day when you're there. It's just more takes, more time, more ability, more breathing. Like, obviously the post and the marketing, that's all would be much crazier. But the interesting thing is that it's not like, when you're really there and in front of a camera and you and I are doing a scene, it doesn't feel that different.
Okay.
That's there's a lot of differences. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's just an interesting thing where I kind of had that realization on Shazam. I'm coming in, I'm like, this is going to be crazy. And it's like, it's still just a camera, actors,
and this moment.
Yeah. Which is really interesting.
But when it comes to stunts, and no offense again, when you bring a stunt coordinator in that has 1/4 of the experience, someone else should be on that job, and you're dealing with safety and having knowledge and experience. It's massive.
100%. It's not even in the same discussion of hiring this actor to play this nurse with one line who's never done anything, because you're in charge of people's safety. There's far more at stake, and the resume should help that. The resume should push that forward.
Right.
Truly.
Agree or disagree, in the state of the industry today, not that it was ever necessarily this, but more than ever, truly being the best person for the role secures you the job less than ever. Did I explain that properly? Like, I think that's the first and foremost, you have to go in and be the best, because then there's going to be this reason. This person's got 1,000,005 followers. We got to get them.
Yeah.
This person there's a million other reasons that they need to cast accordingly or
100%.
do this. So that's an interesting part of what I've learned about the industry.
Yes. Yes, that is a thing.
Well, that's true. I mean, books get made into movies because they have an already built-in audience.
The IP.
So
Yeah, there's been more serial killer shows than ever before.
Yeah.
Why? Because those serial killers, who are real pieces of shit, are raking in the dough.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Or, instead of writing this creative sci-fi thing, let's call it Star Wars, this creative sci-fi thing, and then it'll get the whole audience, right?
That's true.
It's interesting. I think I missed the, like we were talking about at the start of this podcast, the original, like a Bruce Almighty. It's like, where does that come from? That's just this, it's Jim Carrey nailing it. It's not a story that someone knows, or a sequel or anything like that, or, Something About Mary, or Liar Liar, or Austin Powers. Then there were sequels because it was successful. But I missed and I just think, it's changed with Netflix and stuff. That doesn't mean they can't go to Netflix, but it's not going to get people in the theaters as much. But I like when it's just I don't personally watch trailers, because I don't want to know about what's going on. If I trust that it's Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan, I want to watch it. I don't need to be sold. And then you get to go in and see it with no idea. Whereas I think that's sort of being lost.
Totally. That is lost. There are shows like Succession.
Sure.
That make me feel like
White Lotus.
There's really trying to do some real shit.
I agree, 100%. It's more found in TV today.
Yeah, I would agree.
Things have shifted big.
Yeah.
But still, I think that, you like Breaking Bad. is a great example of something that nobody was asking for, and it came out and just nailed it. And a lot of people, I'm one of these people. I watched the first episode, I think 6 times before I got in that show.
It didn't grab you?
It just wasn't grabbing me, and everyone was talking about it, and I was going, fuck. And I think they were on their 3rd season by the time I decided to give it a go, a real go. And when I did, I was like, fuck, what I've been missing out. Huge.
But there's something nice too about once you have 3 seasons to binge, you can like really fall in love with it and run.
Yeah,
because it's all there.
I basically had 3 days in a row, and I was able to do it.
Yeah. Talk about like, as an actor, you really need a champion at some point in your career. Bryan Cranston was the best person for that role, and all the studios were no, we want to get Matthew Broderick. No. And
Can you imagine?
Is that what happened?
Broderick.
yeah, we wanted him.
Sorry, Matthew.
What the?
And he might have blown us away, but
Are you going to get more rum and cokes?
I can.
I think you should. It's it's the evening. So.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, mid-afternoon.
It's getting really dark out, actually. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's very dark. We're hitting midnight here soon.
So what's give me in no particular order your 3 favorite TV shows.
Oh my, that's a big one. I will go with Breaking Bad, somewhere in that order. It's too good.
I agree.
And I've seen like the whole thing probably 5 times now.
Wow.
It's like a writing masterclass. So if you're going to sit down at all and do some writing, which I do a lot of, it is just why look at anything else when you have that. Succession certainly has taken its moment. It's probably in my top 3 right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's in the ultimate top 3, but it's sitting there. It's for new shows. I can't believe we have something like that to watch.
I think what your favorite song, favorite that is fluid. So it could be your favorite right now, but something like Breaking Bad, I agree, it would probably always be in mine.
100%. I might go with Seinfeld. It's another show that I can watch religiously to this day.
Yeah.
So if you're putting it in like
it's almost like you need to separate something like a Succession and Breaking Bad and something like an Always Sunny in Seinfeld.
Well, I think you're supposed to. You're supposed to separate.
I don't even mean because one's better than or one's less than. It's like comparing Michael Jordan to Wayne Gretzky. It's just like they're both exceptional, but how can I compare them?
Yeah, exactly. It's completely objective in its own right. But if you look at like how often I watch something, you would automatically think that Seinfeld was my favorite show.
Sure.
Just because I've seen every episode of it. I don't even know how many times. And it's just brutally good.
That's why it's interesting. There's a fantastic Hollywood roundtable with Henry Winkler and Jim Carrey. And Henry Winkler has this spiel about comedic acting. And he talks about...
Is this during like his Barry time?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He talks about how comedic acting gets less respect because they think it looks, they think it feels so easy and everything, but what blows me away is that no comedies ever get any Oscar nominations, and I get it, but it never gets it. But if you think about it, what movie are you more likely to watch multiple times? Are you going to watch The Shawshank Redemption 4 times in a course of a month?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
goes against my point. But are you likely to just throw on, Anchorman again? Because like there's easy viewings, and that's why they're so separate. It's like they're just different.
I totally agree. But now, having said that, you like the Shawshank thing. We actually make a point of having spaghetti and watching Shawshank every year at least once. I think we do it maybe 3 or 4 times.
Okay, well, I picked the wrong example.
Yes. That was a brutal example.
The Shawshank is a great movie.
Yeah.
But I know, any kind of, you look at any Oscar-winning movie, and I'm like, I don't find it, like maybe I'll watch it once every other year, whereas something like you said with Seinfeld, it's the kind of thing you can put on. It's the kind of thing you end up watching multiple times or comedies.
It's true. It's true. You're totally right. And you cannot compare it to Breaking Bad or Succession or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, there just really isn't anything that, I mean, I guess that just means like what you favor is often comfort or, you know, something of that sort. You know, I watch Bill Burr comedy over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't get sick of it. I don't know why, but.
Because there's such a genuineness, there's such an honesty from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing, though. There's an honesty also in Seinfeld and Succession and these other shows that are doing things very authentically.
Yeah.
And against the way you might do it if you were part of a marketing agency or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What are your faves?
It would be Breaking Bad. It's easily there. I think It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of the greatest television series ever put together. Yeah. Seinfeld's high up there, and
Yes, Always Sunny's good.
The Office is really high up there, and I really like Dexter.
Wow.
That was a fun show.
You asked me top 3. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I just sort of ignored you.
You're losing control.
I put the comedy, the sitcoms all count as one.
Okay.
Thank you for the drink. Thank you for the water.
Yo, cheers, guys. Hey.
Yes, the water.
Cheers, Blair.
Cheers, guys. Listen. Oh, they don't make the same.
It's not the same. How about you, Deb?
What's up?
You've had a little more time watching TV than we have. So, what's your faves? Top 3.
Gilligan's Island, Beverly Hillbillies, and Green Acres.
What?
They're all comedies. Loved them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Combat.
Is there a MASH in there at all?
What decade are we talking?
I don't know.
Beverly Hillbillies is a popular one.
Yeah, that was a classic.
Yeah.
Flashpoint, Orphan Black.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did those shows.
Actually, Orphan Black was a hell of a show.
Yeah. He was a stunt coordinator on that.
Sure.
It was incredible watching Tatiana.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's absolutely.
The girl's gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask 2 fellow people in the industry.
You know it's our podcast, right?
I'll be out here. Okay. What do you think? Why do you think? I mean, if you think about it, he says Seinfeld right in his top 3.
Uh-huh.
You say Gilligan's Island,
No,
Beverly
I was
Hillbillies.
joking.
But still, but like great. And I say Always Sunny and stuff like that. Why do you think there's been a shift in the amount of comedies being made in the last 4 or 5 years?
Because people need to laugh. I think there's a shift.
Like, you mean there's more or less?
There's less.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, okay.
It's starting to, we're seeing it maybe, but it's been.
What now?
I think it has to do with sensitivity.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that there's been a number of comedies you just might not think they're funny.
No, people are offended.
But I mean, this goes as far as if you listen to the Smartless podcast and Will Arnett and Jason Bateman made a career in comedy, and they're going, where are they? Where are the sitcoms? Where are the Wingmans?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's hope that with Harlan's movie Wingman, there's a resurgence.
Sure.
I had occasion to speak with Harlan about this a few times while we were on set, and I personally thanked him
Yep. So
bringing back movies of my era. He's got humor in there that hasn't been in a movie, at least in my experience, for years.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with sensitivity.
100%.
Yeah, it's actually nice to see that comedies, like you said the thing earlier about a revolution or something.
Yeah, Renaissance.
Or Renaissance.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Rogan's podcast, which started it all, you know, and bringing on all these comedians and doing this sort of support system that they have. Like, he seems to have like a support system in place for comedians. Like, maybe if podcasts weren't a thing, or he didn't blow them up like he did, comedy wouldn't see the same potential resurgence.
Yeah.
I think maybe in that world we're kind of lucky because
I agree. I think Rogan has a soft spot for stand-up comedians.
yeah,
Well, because
and he's helped a
Yeah.
lot.
it's like us as a podcaster. Our fallback, easy, stunt guys.
Sure.
It's what we have absolute 100% access to. So we could have a podcast just about stunt people, but we don't, because we don't like most of them. But
Yeah,
there's a joke. It's true.
true joke.
No. Well, I was going to say something about comedy. Oh,
He has something to fall back on.
yeah, but no, we were talking about the sensitivity thing. Can you imagine Andrew Dice Clay coming out today?
No,
It's just not going to happen
yeah,
because people aren't laughing at themselves anymore. But what is?
I think more people than it feels like
yeah.
are. I think the loudest voices on Twitter that are complaining are what it feels like everyone is thinking, whereas there's so many people. Like, if you don't like a movie, you're not running to IMDb to trash it. You're not running to Rotten Tomatoes to trash it. You're just going to be like, oh, it wasn't for me. I'm going to go watch another one. A smaller percentage are the loudest. So, like,
Totally.
This is exactly what Harlan said in our conversation when I was saying, like, the world needs this movie. Like, not only I need this movie, but the world needs this movie. He was saying how he has a pulse on comedy when you're in the clubs, when you're doing the stand-up stuff. And it's so true, because you're not only seeing what bits are working or aren't and what stand-ups are being successful and what they're picking, you're also seeing the audience and what's working. And that's an example of I forget who it was, and I want to remember. I don't know if it was Bill Burr, but I think it was Vince Vaughn on a podcast. But he said if you pay attention, the hunger for comedy never left. It just there weren't any to watch, so it's went into stand-up. That's why Netflix has so many specials. That's why you see comedians' careers blow up like never before in the time that there hasn't been as many comedic movies and TV series.
That's fascinating.
And I thought it was a spot on point, because all of a sudden I find myself watching all of Bill Burr's things and watching all of Shane Gillis's things, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's because I'm not getting that. I'm not scratching that comedic itch with, a brand new hilarious Anchorman or whatever it might be, until Wingman.
Coming to a theater near you.
Yeah.
Now, I agree, and I think that comedians, a lot like podcasters, are telling truths.
Sure.
And they're allowing people, I think that I don't know where it comes from exactly, but there's a narrative that we all feel floating around among our work and among whatever the oxygen we breathe, it seems, where we kind of have to fear being who we are a little bit. I don't feel right in my skin because of the other people's whatever. There's other people that need something more than I do, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't feel comfortable saying certain things, being a certain way. And comedians and podcasters have allowed us to feel confident by identifying with what they have to think and say. And I think people are just, that fear that we've had is slowly slipping away. We're starting to go, fuck, I got to get back to being myself again. And unfortunately, this is the way I think. This is the organic way in which I am. It doesn't mean we should be racist.
Well, not unfortunately, exactly. Because if you're a good person with no hate in your heart, then finding silly stuff funny shouldn't be shouldn't be
a thing.
sorry about it.
Exactly.
So I agree with what you're saying. I think that it's exactly that. I don't disagree that in some way or another there's this feeling of like, maybe I have to tippy toe, and I don't understand it when I was raised with the correct values. I show everyone respect until I'm shown disrespect. That's when things can change. But yet in the climate of everything, and you can see it even in studios and film companies by not even willing to touch this. It might be a great script, but we don't even want to take the risk. Why? Because it's like Step Brothers.
Which is interesting
Yeah.
because actors are among the most bravest people I've ever met.
Sure.
And they're working in an industry that won't step forward and take that step.
Yeah, well,
fear.
that's killing the courage that it used to have.
But it's like to your point, I'm even making sure I don't say any problem right now. Like that's what you're
Exactly. That's what. Yes.
which is weird because I'm not saying anything hurtful or mean at all.
If people knew what you said on the golf course, man. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. About my game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think that if everyone's coming from a good place and you know, like you began saying, that doesn't mean we need racism. We don't need to be punching down or making jokes at anyone else's expense. But things can be funny organically, and we should be able to laugh.
Yeah, I really feel like the comedy world and the podcast world are sort of defining the way things are today.
Sure.
Do they have all the facts, and are people getting all their facts from them? You know,
Do they
that's an
claim to
iffy-
be experts when they're not?
Yeah,
Like,
there's an iffy thing in there.
Sure.
But
We're
it
not?
also, but at the same time, you know, people, the other part of this coming around organically is that people also understand what a conversation is. They
Right.
have these conversations among their friends anyway. Listening to Joe Rogan's not just going to change their opinion. It's they might validate themselves a bit to be less fearful of certain things, but you know, they're going to talk to their friend in a moment from now who's going to tell them that by thinking Rogan has all the answers, that's just silly.
Well, and it takes you to have common sense, like you're saying, to know that that's not the case.
If anything, that's what we're building in society right now. We're building people that are going to have more common sense
Sure.
and be able to laugh. Maybe, I don't know.
I think the saying, any man who knows a thing knows he knows not a damn thing at all. And I like that saying because
That's a good one. Actually.
I think it's to your point is
You wouldn't know.
assuming you don't have all the answers and not assuming you have the answers or that you're right and being open to any sort of conversation is important. And I think whether it's on one side or another today, it feels like don't even discuss anything. Just keep quiet, put your head down, and do your thing. And I'm like, I guess, but how? Like, let's grow. Like, let's whether it be through joking about something in a comedy or a stand-up person making a bit about something, so we can all laugh about that thing when it might be a tougher subject. Like, I think it's important to laugh. I really do.
There's a lot of truth in those jokes.
Yeah.
And that's why they're funny.
Yeah, that's true too.
But nobody's talking about it. It's kind of the oddest thing.
Well, you know, it's what's kind of weird is if you look at a garden and you say that garden's beautiful, you don't go, I'd like that garden if all those were roses.
Right.
That's very rare. And if you go to a car dealership and there's a whole bunch of just all one color cars, you're like, wow, suddenly I don't want this kind of car anymore. You kind of
Right.
want to go have a selection.
Sure.
Why this world can't agree on the fact that not every car or not every flower is for everybody, but every flower and every car is for the world. Mm-hmm. And there is no need to judge. Now we should take this shit that we fear and realize that it's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're putting a bad taste on it.
Sure.
As opposed, I don't know if am I
And
off the subject?
And it's individual. Understand the context. If someone is coming from a shitty hatred place, then they should be chastised for being a piece of shit, right?
Exactly.
But if something's just fun and whatever, what are we doing here?
Agreed. Life's a garden.
Yeah.
Dig it.
That's when the camera pans up to the sign.
It's not on
We're gonna have to get a clip. Yeah,
Yeah, get a photo of it and chop it in.
that's hilarious. All right, well,
But to the same point, I think it's important, even conversations like this, to be talking about that. I think there's moments in that go beyond our industry that it's important when someone like Harlan says, "Fuck it, I want to make this movie. I think this movie's funny. People aren't going to like it. Some people aren't going to like it. Other people are going to love it." Mm-hmm. That's a very important person to take that risk. Yeah. And to your point about stand-ups and podcasts and stuff, you sort of have a little more control of your destiny now. So you're not so fearful that some studio exec's going to fire you and you're going to be able to work as an actor. Because as a stand-up, if you sell tickets, you get hired. If you have your own podcast, you're your own boss. So you can be a little less. That's why so many things in this sensitive time have moved to podcasts and stuff, because people are sick of like YouTube demonetizing and deleting your channel. And it's like, it's weird. So that's why I'm super thankful that not only can we have these conversations, but people like Harlan and many others that are going against the grain.
Yeah, and you get to know who somebody is.
Yeah.
You totally get to know who somebody is if they're talking like this on a podcast.
I agree.
Speaking of podcast, has Harland ever invited you down to do his podcast?
The Harland Highway? I have not got the invite. I'm not sure I will. I very likely wouldn't decline it, but I mean, unless I was doing this one on the same day.
It'd be a blast to do.
It would be fun. It's very silly. He's so great.
He's ridiculous.
I had a weird, tell me if you guys agree, I had a weird moment, not moment, but sort of like once I had gotten the role in Wingman, and there's maybe 2 weeks till I'm in Sault Ste. Marie, I was like kind of watching some of Harlan stuff, catching up on Harlan, and he's almost always in character. So I'm kind of thinking like, how is this guy going to be like a director of a movie when he's so just,
I thought the same thing coming up.
And he's such a genuine fucking great guy. Yeah. But I had that little moment of like, because he's really always that guy when you have a chance to see him. It's interesting.
So go on a little bit about your experience working with him, working with the guys and on the movie. I mean, doing those scenes. Oh, I was in there in the bar scene when you guys, when you have to walk over to the girl leaning against the bar, and I think she,
with the whole Rubik's Cube stuff.
With the
Betty.
No, Betty's outside the bar.
Well, he brings you out.
He brings me out, and we're
with the martini and the crying and
yes. Like I was there for all that stuff, and I mean, it's hilarious listening to Harland and you guys just going on in that scene. But just I don't know, what's it like?
It was, and I'm not saying this in a way of just being kind to be kind or anything like that. It was truly, as an actor with the type of stuff I grew up watching and loving with my dad, a dream come true. And that's putting it nicely. Like it, every day was such a blast. The character of, am I Bob? Does that sound right? We can cut this part because I don't want to not remember my character's name, but It's Bob. It's Bob.
Yeah, it's Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can't cut this. This is a great clip.
This is gonna make a great clip.
The character was so close to sort of my hit, anyways, that it wasn't like I had to give it a crazy amount of thought and then run away and be in a zone. I could be really present and get to experience a lot of and learn a lot from Harlan's approach in comedy and Russell's approach in comedy, but also the way that, which I've always lived by, is that funny wins. So he's never getting offended if I have a suggestion to do this, because he'll sit with it. He'll go, let's try that, because then he can have it on the editing room. Or if it just makes him laugh when I suggest it, it's true, we're doing that. We're changing that. Yeah. You're actually going to come over here. We're doing this. This is super funny. And the process of that was so open and free that it's truly the best experience of my career so far, bar none.
Yeah, he's
Love
an
that.
extremely generous guy in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had similar conversations where I'd suggested something, and he kind of looked at me, and I went, and he changed it.
Yeah, he's open to that.
Yes, incredibly. And it'll be a better movie for it,
I agree.
for everybody's.
I think that I would speak for all the cast that Harland is like a breath of fresh air as a director. Now, it didn't feel as directy as a true, only behind the camera coming out, because he's in the scenes with me a lot.
Right.
So he said he didn't initially want to play Turk. It kind of came to the point where he was like, I get this character so much, I think I'd be best for this character. But he wanted to be behind the camera. But I know for a fact, just based on how he was with everyone, he was never abrasive. He was super open, and it's just such an easy experience. Like the kind of experience you're like, I wish I could do 8 seasons of this, because this is what you sign up for.
But it would have been cool if he was just a director and you had like Denzel across from you playing Turk.
Playing Turk.
I think Harlan would be funnier than Denzel.
A little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was a blast to do. I mean, Andrew growing up, he was a massive Harland Williams fan. That's
excellent.
That's just the truth. Mm-hmm. And I called Andrew and I said, listen, I'm doing this show, and it stars Harland Williams, and he's directing. And he goes, wow, like, whatever.
Sure.
And I said, well, you're the same height.
I said, wow, you got that right.
Yeah, you did say wow, but he's the same height. It'd be a great double driving.
Yeah, to be honest, when he had mentioned it, I just said, please have me up there to do something.
Sure.
And to be honest, that got me the audition for the jock role. Harland appeared to love it, what I did, and I got that role. But then it turned out that I'm also 6'2". I'm the same height as him.
Sure.
Kind of got a similar look in a way. And, although the wig was absolutely insane.
This moment begs a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
But, although there's that, it was great to be able to come up. I got to do the role, but I also got to double the man. And absolutely, totally a dream come true on my end as well.
I believe it. Especially if you're that big of a fan from a young age.
Yeah.
And then I don't even need to ask. I know that your experience too of Harlan is just like, they say don't meet your heroes, right? And that is just so not the case.
It's not. Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
He was awesome. And the fact that he did our podcast also, it was great stuff. It's all great.
He's just super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
What about you? How was your experience on the totality of it?
I personally didn't like the man.
Sure. Understood.
Yeah, he complained so much.
No, for me, going in, it's just like any other movie. I do what I do.
Yeah.
As a stunt coordinator, I do what I do. But a buddy of mine, Cody Sparshu, was one of the producers, and I guess he also acted in it. He's the one that initially called me. But when I found out it was Harland, again, I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of what's his dick? But the
Russell Peter?
yeah, I'm not gonna say it. He didn't come yet. No, I'm just teasing. But the again, he's an incredibly generous person, and I had occasion to help him with a few things. And it works out. And my experience on the movie was awesome. I loved it. And I got to go to Sault Ste. Marie for the first time in my life and discover that it wasn't a big city and didn't take my passport.
What was it like meeting such a talented emerging actor in myself?
Oh, just a second. I was breathless. I said, who the fuck is that?
How did he get this role?
He's from Woodstock.
Oh!
So is my wife.
Well, let's have him on
have a lot in
complain
common.
again.
You were great. Like, come on. You were,
Oh no,
Yeah.
no. But
Thank you, though.
the scene in the parking lot with the
With the animal.
yeah,
Yeah.
the car.
That was fun.
It's incredible.
That was fun.
Dude, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Whatever.
And
It's
I
great.
will see you guys at the premiere.
yeah.
I will certainly be at the premiere. I'm hoping
Good.
you'll be there.
I might be in Tennessee.
Ah,
Yeah, Randy might be away, but you'll see me
cool.
for sure. And then my other half, which is either my woman or maybe Blair. We'll see. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Evan, you're the first. Here's the deal. You're going to be the first, should you agree to it, to sign this table.
Oh yeah, you had a full signature thing going on.
Yeah, we had a bunch of signatures. Now, it's funny because we have 2 giant-ass pieces of plywood now that we have to figure out what we're going to do, where we're going to hang it in this little room.
Yeah, full of signatures.
But it's standing by for hanging up. But what we've decided to do with this new table to try to make things more efficient from going and moving forward is we got 3 ply. So now when you sign that, we can actually take that off at some point and hang it on the top of the room and kind of do a around the room signature sort of thing so that people can come in and check it all out.
How long is your plywood from the other place? Like, is it the same sort of height as this?
Within reason.
It's yeah, it's
Because I was thinking, I don't know how practical it is, but if it went across up there, it wouldn't hit your head this way, and it would make a ruby of it. It would make it cool that way, unless you're trying to have it on
I
the
see.
cameras.
Oh, that's cool.
like across the
I just don't know how long it is this way.
Oh, 4 feet.
Because if it wasn't very long, if it's not getting in the room of head,
That's a
It
really
could-
good question.
a good
turned
idea.
into a bit of a square.
It also becomes a sound baffle.
It's actually
There you go.
Yeah, but it's not a terrible idea. That's actually kind of good.
Not just a talented actor. You know?
He's also a designer.
I didn't think he was talented. I didn't know what he's talking-
Yeah.
I know you're not.
You know, he's the one that brought it up.
Twice, actually.
But
Really
yeah,
fishing here.
Normally, everyone comes in and they look at the signatures that were on the table, but you're first on here. Are you down to sign it?
I would love to.
Sign it anywhere you like. Just try not to go over a seam.
Over a seam.
Like a
Yeah, true.
Like one of these bad boys.
yeah.
Yeah, you do that, we're fucked.
Beautiful.
That was fun.
Sweet, man. Thank you so much.
This is a great
Oh,
setup,
God.
like I've said, guys. I think you're going to have a lot of success here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Evans,
I appreciate
thanks
it.
so much for coming down.
Of course.
This is
That was my
this is
pleasure,
a treat,
guys.
man.
Yeah, dude.
This is an easy chat. and a
Yeah,
fun
we're really
podcast.
stoked for you, by the way, with Wingman coming out and all that. It really, good luck with your year ahead. It's
Yeah, we're
gonna
hoping
be-
you get 150,000 followers.
I've checked out on the whole social media part of it because not only do I not really care.
Yeah.
I know it's important for the
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I was in Shazam and it was the #1 movie of the year, and I was like, here we go. This is the kind of thing you need because that opens auditions, and you got like 4,000 more followers. And I was like, oh. And then I was let down, so I was like, I don't want to ever have expectations when it's in regards to stuff that I ultimately don't care about, too.
right. But that's not what it's about.
You're right.
I agree.
Yeah, some of the YouTubers and the people that I follow, most of them don't do all those social medias. They have a
100%.
very strict thing, and because they have like more of like an integrity driven sort of thing. It's not about all that stuff. It's more about giving you proper information or whatever that may be. So I appreciate that.
The full circle it's come since De Niro didn't like doing talk shows because he didn't want you to be able to see him out of his character.
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio barely does them because he wants you to see him as the character. And now it's like the full opposite. You're supposed to have all this following from social media.
Right.
Yeah. I know it's
Not for
it's
me.
a pain in the fucking ass, man. It's
Yeah.
a part of the world that isn't you, right?
But it is where it's going. So
Yeah.
you got to skate to where the puck's
we are
going, not where it
podcasting.
is.
No fucking hockey analogies.
That's a nice end on being the Canadian. Well, cheers,
All
gentlemen.
right. Well,
Cheers, man.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much for having me. It
coming.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
was a lot of fun.
All right.
Thanks, Blair. Cut it.